Aloha friends, and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to talk about this wonderful upcoming solar eclipse in Gemini on June 10th. And there's some other transits going on that are really making this solar eclipse very powerful. So this eclipse seems to really be focused on a central word that I keep hearing in my world, and that word is freedom. Now, I don't need to go into too much detail about what's happening in the world that's on the forefront of the stage, but if you're on one side of the aisle, it seems to be what I keep hearing is get the vaccine and you're free to take off your mask. Get the vaccine and you're free to fly and travel wherever you want. Get the vaccine and we'll be free to go back to normal. Get the vaccine and you'll be free from getting sick. Get the vaccine, you'll be free from the virus. And on the other side of the coin, it seems to be, we want our freedom back. We want the freedom to choose whether or not to take the vaccine. We want the freedom to be able to return to normal even without taking the vaccine. I don't care what your politics or ideology is. The bottom line is both sides are really focused on the word freedom. And I want to explore why I think that is. So let's go to this. This is the spectrum of consciousness by the gene keys. I really like this one. I really like how the words describe the underlying frequency of each gene key. And if you're not familiar, just briefly, every gene key is the same as the hexagram of the I Ching, which is the same as the gates in the human design. They're all the same. They're all pointing to the same underlying frequency. They're just using different words to describe it. And I really like the gene keys descriptive term. So let's scroll down a little bit. That way I can point out what I want to look at today. And that way you can get an idea of the words, why I'm using these words. So I want to look at 3 hexagrams today, and when we get to the human design chart, you'll know why they're so important. But again, I just want to get the verbiage down for you guys. We have the 39th gene key, provocation, dynamism, and liberation. And oops, I don't like that circle. Let's make it a little bigger. We have the 45th gene key, dominance, synergy, and communion. And we have 55, which is unique amongst all the hexagrams because it's victimization and double freedom. Woo, double freedom. Okay, so we have double freedom. And 55, just really remember that these are 2 sides of the same coin, which means there's a third side, that little ridge between the two. The tail side will just say that the shadow is the tail and the siddhi or highest essence is the head, since on a human, our tail area is kind of where we poop. So shadow is usually not considered too bueno. And then the highest essence, highest point on our bodies is the top of our head. So we'll just say this siddhi is the head of the coin, and the shadow or orange column is the tail of the coin. But the gift, the green gift in the middle here, that is that little ridge at the middle of the coin separating the 2 sides. 2 sides of the same coin. So if you want to straddle both sides and not get caught up in either extreme of the frequency band, you want to stay here in the middle. So 29, provocation, dynamism, liberation. 45, dominance, synergy, communion. And 55, victimization, freedom, freedom. All right, let's go to the next chart so we can see these descriptive terms in action. Okay, now we have the human design chart. This is showing us the day before the eclipse. So I can point some things out, and then I'm going to change it over to the day of the eclipse so we can see better. So what we got going on here first is, here's the sun. So this is the hexagram where the eclipse will happen. The line is going to change, but we'll look at that in a moment. So there's the sun. Here's 45. Okay. Here's 55. Don't worry about that down arrow. That's not important right now. It's with Jupiter. Here it is in the chart. And here's 39. Okay. We don't have 39 being activated yet by any of the planets, but we'll get there in a moment. Okay. So let's just have a look, see what is 45. 45 is gathering together. The natural and generally, the natural and generally beneficial attraction of like forces. Well, what was 45 on the previous screen? It was dominance, synergy, and communion. Now just think about that for a moment, how close that really is, what that really means. Those are the frequency, those are the expressive ways. That's kind of like the result of what can happen when we come together. Either there's one group that's totally dominating over the other, or maybe we all come together synergistically, but what it's really describing is how we commune together, right? Communion, gathering together. Is there dominance? Sometimes. Is there synergy? Preferably. Okay. And then we have 55, abundance. Abundance is strictly a question of spirit. So yeah, abundance. The universe, the world, it always has an abundance, but it all depends on how you feel. If you feel in your heart lack, if you're emotionally closed to feeling the love and all you feel is lack, all you think that you're getting is lack, then the universe, the world will provide you with an abundance of lack. So it really depends on your connection to your spirit. And if you feel like a victim, you will be provided with an abundance of reasons to feel like a victim. But if you feel that you're free, you will be provided with an abundance of examples as to why you're free. Okay, so let's switch it over to tomorrow. I know the screen is going to jump it to my chart, but we don't need to worry about that. We'll switch it back. Okay, well, that's how I'm experiencing the eclipse if I was locked in a box by myself and not in the aura of absolutely anything else. But here we go. As you can see, 39 is now turned on. And let's take a look at who's turning it on. It happens to be Venus. And you can also see that the line has shifted. So we have the moon and now the sun in the fourth line, making our eclipse here on the 10th of June. So what's happening with a solar eclipse is kind of like a reset and a beginning of something. In 9 years, we'll have the ending of what's beginning now. So you can also kind of get an idea of maybe how this is going to work in your life specifically if you start contemplating what happened to you 9 years ago because something ended and this is still on the same wavelength. This is just now a beginning, and you can look 18 years ago, something began 18 years ago. And so there are certain like wavelengths of themes really that will continue throughout your life in these 18, 19 years, 9-year, 18-year sets. There's stuff happening every single year, but there are certain themes that occur over 9 and 18-year sets. Maybe a little, there's a bit of a band because last year we had Gemini, Sagittarius eclipses as well. And I'm pretty sure, I haven't double checked, but next year we're having Gemini, Sagittarius eclipses as well. And so, it takes a couple years for things to be reset, turned off and on. Think about when something crashes, right? You can try turning it on and off, but maybe you need to turn it on and off a couple times for the circuitry to really be refreshed. So yeah, that we don't need to go into those details. It's interesting how all this works. But let's take a quick look at this channel here. We're not going to go into details about 39 on alone, but we have the channel of emoting, a design of moodiness, and how that relates to 55 and 39, as we were seeing on the previous screen. 39 is provocation, dynamism, liberation. 55, using freedom as a distinction from liberation, is victimization, freedom, freedom. So, right, we have the root and we have the solar plexus. So channel of emotion, this is the circuit of individual emotional expression, not necessarily emotional communication, but this is, I'm feeling something, and what does that feeling make me want to do? Because this is the root. This is, I feel the pressure to do something. Why? Well, because I'm experiencing some sort of emotion. So yes, this is the channel of emoting, a design of moodiness. Am I feeling good? Am I feeling grumpy? Okay. Do I feel like a victim of my emotions? Are my emotions themselves provoking me in order to take rash action? Or can I dip into dynamism? Can I find a way to move, right? Dynamic movement. Can I move the energy in order to feel free instead? If someone's sitting there poking, are you just going to turn around and punch them in the face? What if they're poking you to get your attention because there's an oncoming train about to run you over? Maybe you want to turn around and make it a joke, and that way you're still open to receiving the message that, hey, I'm trying to poke you to get out of the way to save your life. Okay, that's just a really crazy example I came up with on the spot just now, but let's tie it into this overall transit that we're experiencing, the solar eclipse. Think about how individuals experiencing their own emotions and expressing their emotions really changes the dynamics. There's that word again, dynamism, the dynamics of people gathering in groups. One of the things that has definitely changed as a result of the global pandemic and lockdown is how we gather together. How we gather together has really changed. And even if all the restrictions are removed tomorrow at the drop of a hat, people have really gotten the taste of Zoom meetings, and how we gather together has been affected. So are we going to move back? Are we turning back the wheels of time? I don't think so. I don't think so. I do see that we have Venus here, the planet of beauty, and we have Jupiter here, the planet of expansion, amplification, making things bigger. So this is really amplifying our feelings, and this is really challenging us. Venus is really challenging us to find the beauty of feeling feelings. Wow, get to the bottom of what it means to feel, and really take the time to test your expression. Test how are you receiving your own feelings. That's the third line, testing. The first line, getting to the bottom of things. And here we have the fourth line, serving, the opportunity of serving and giving. So this is a call for all of us to really get to the bottom of our own feelings, of our own need to be with ourselves. Are we feeling what we're feeling because we're allowing our mental projections to get in the way? Or are we feeling what we're feeling because there's love for life in our hearts, in our spirit? And it's important for us to take notice, right? This is a projected channel. That's why I said, what are we projecting? Are we projecting the tail side of the coin, or are we projecting the head, or are we able to straddle in the middle? This is a projected channel. What are we projecting out? because what we're projecting out is showing up in the way that we gather together. I know if I'm moody and I go to a party, I'm never going to enjoy the party. I'm better off just not going. But if I can leave the door open, and that's something that the third line is definitely good at doing. The third line is good at leaving the door open because it's about trial and error. The third line is designed to keep an open mind in a sense, because it's always looking for something that does work. It's important to not get jaded over all the failed experiments. Something out there is going to work, and we're getting to the bottom. And when we get to the bottom of that thing that does work, it's going to be beautiful. And we're going to want to share it with everyone, whether we get together on a Zoom meeting or whether we get together in person. And what are we sharing is the question I think some of us are asking, other than the beauty of being emotional creatures. Well, we're going to have to just find out. Or maybe that's it. Maybe the beauty is being an emotional creature. And I'm just seeing that this is a really, really powerful eclipse, because this is tying into something that human design lore really talks about. It talks about, and there's some details, something about maybe Uranus going around the sun, a complete rotation since the discovery of Pluto, something like that. In 2027, there's going to be this big mutation in the 25th hexagram. Well, did I say 25th? Scratch that. 55th. In the 55th hexagram. So this is where Jupiter is now. And if you watched one of my previous transit videos, I was talking about how Jupiter is currently in Pisces. He's just sticking his toe in there. He's only there for the remainder of this and next month. And he goes back into Aquarius for the rest of the year. So I think it's like July 29th until December 28th. And then December 29th, Jupiter goes into Pisces for real, and won't return into Aquarius for another 11 years. So if we're really experiencing a mutation as human design describes, and it's happening in the 55th hexagram, no lightning strike just occurs without a buildup of electricity. And this is part of that electrical buildup that we're going to see. This is a pre-tremor, if you want to describe it that way. We are going to be experiencing a pre-tremor with regard to the mutation in the 55th hexagram. It's like kicking off with this solar eclipse. So this is, we're in it, folks. This is the storm that is going to cause humanity to really find freedom. But we get to choose. We get to choose what kind of freedom we want. What kind of freedom do we want to build for ourselves? Are we willing to find beauty in what it means to be emotional beings that have to deal and live with each other? Okay, well, we have to recognize that 45, where the solar eclipse is happening, this is in Gemini. So we have to recognize that Gemini is associated with the trickster. Well, why is it associated with the trickster? Well, it's because Gemini represents the process of childlike curiosity, or a child's curiosity. And if you know anything about little kids, especially toddlers, and I'm going to use a word that my friend was slinging around recently, little kids are dicks. They don't understand how certain things work. And so they're going to be testing and trying things that adults might find to be really rude and mean even. Little kids can be dicks. And so there is a dickish quality to Gemini, and it's because it's curious. What happens when I do this? What happens if I do that? Ooh, what's this? Ooh, what's that? How about this? How about that? What if I do this? What if I do that? It's a never-ending process of learning and discovery. That's Gemini. And emotions, the beauty and the depth of emotions are also a never-ending discovery. But to add dimension to this is sharing emotions with others. Wow, what another hall of mirrors and never-ending rabbit hole of growth and learning. So, wow, that was a lot. Thank you so much for this exploration with me. I look forward to our next chat. Thank you.